Welcome to Elevate, the podcast where we dissect exceptional achievers who are consistently raising the bar personally and professionally to produce extraordinary results in investment real estate and ultimately in their lives. Now here's your host, Tyler Chesser.
Elevate Nation, welcome back. This is Tyler Chesser. I'm so thankful to have you here, and I'm so thankful to be joined by Vinny Chopra. Vinny, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Tyler. So glad to be here, and hopefully I can add some value to your audience. Yeah.
Well, I have no doubt about that. And, it's funny when I ask you that question, how are you doing? I definitely know the answer. You're doing great. And that's by choice. I really think that is by choice by you, Vinny. And, it's already been so fun to just have a very brief conversation with you before the show. So I look forward to really, hopefully changing somebody's life today together. And let's do that. And before we do that, I want to welcome Elevate Nation back to the show because, our mission is to identify and apply how the best of the best raise the bar to achieve greatness in real estate and ultimately in their lives. And it is about developing yourself personally. It's about cultivating the appropriate mindset, tapping into the subconscious, being aware of what your conscious mind is really trying to limit you towards, as well as, stepping in to become, a master. And, really today is a master class, and we've got the master with us here today with us, Vinney. And, it's really for those who are looking to achieve uncommon results. We're not looking just to do the ordinary. We're not just looking to, just kind of, have that sort of the same thing that everyone else has, but we're looking to do something great. And, to do that, we've really got to push those limits. We've got to continue to raise that bar, whether it is in our investing, whether it's tactics or whether it's, things that's really about ourselves. And if you appreciate what we're doing, we would certainly appreciate if you subscribe to the show, if you give us a rating, a review. It certainly helps us reach our message to more folks. And ultimately, our goal is to reach millions and millions of people because, what I've recognized is that, a lot of people are just tolerating their life, Vinny. I see that all over the place. They just tolerate their life. But you know what? The crowd is, it's really starting to take note of the fact that you don't have to do that. You can live a great life. And really what we've found, and I think you would agree with me, is that real estate, along with developing yourself and cultivating the appropriate, self-education, self-development, as well as developing a great network and continuing to raise your bar, you've got such an opportunity to do great things. And with that said, I want to go ahead and dive in here and introduce you to Vinny Chopra here. So Vinny, when he came to the United States from India over 40 years ago, he had only $7 in his pockets, but he knew without a doubt that the opportunities that were offered by this country were within reach because he had a vision for his life, plus the commitment to learn, work hard, and sacrifice to achieve those goals. With a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering, he entered the George Washington University to seek a Master of Business Administration degree in marketing and advertising. He sold Bibles and educational books door to door to support his studies, excelling both in the classroom and outside because of his work ethic and overwhelming positive attitude. There's a reason Vinny's nickname is Mr. Smiles, which is evident even through just hearing the demeanor in his voice. And if you're watching on YouTube right now, you can see the beautiful smile, and it certainly emanates here. He has always believed in individuals' ability to shape the world around them through positive thought and selfless actions. He has been a passionate motivational speaker and teacher for over 3 decades. And after getting a taste of sales and marketing while pursuing his MBA, Vinny decided to leave engineering altogether and became a motivational speaker and fundraiser. He worked tirelessly to build clientele that would work for him annually to raise funds to meet their goals and dreams. And I know that this has led to a very successful real estate career as well, with, over $300 million worth of real estate deals. And, Vinny, I love your bio. It's so much fun. And it really kind of shows that, no matter where you started, anything can happen, if you allow yourself, right? So I'd love to know more about Vinny as a man behind the bio. Introduce yourself.
I would love to. Tyler, thank you so much again to give me the platform. I'm here to, say that I came from India. I always wanted to come to USA, land of opportunity. And the big thing was that I was breaking toys when I was young. I always wanted to become an engineer. That was my big passion in life. I studied hard and, got scholarships and all. And when I did become mechanical engineer, with distinction. Then I worked for Larsen Toubro, a very big company back in Bombay, but I wanted to do MBA. That was my next goal. And I said, you know what? I want to go to USA and learn sales and marketing, combine that with engineering. And that was my main passion then, And I arrived, like I said, over 40 years back with $7 in my pocket in New York, LaGuardia Airport,
Wow.
and went to George Washington University. And it just so happened about 4 months there, my friend said, Vinny, what are you doing for the summer? I had thick accent. People can understand me. I mean, they can understand me still, but
We make do.
But, yeah, so they said, okay, I sold books. I said, what? Oh my gosh, okay, I'll carry on with you. So I went with him outside Pulaski, Atlanta, Georgia, first summer, then Virginia, then Aiken, South Carolina. And it was so exciting for me in 2017. That's like, I don't know how many, 30 some years later, where I had $7 in my pocket. I bought $23 million worth of multifamily to bring housing in that same town where I was walking door to door, knocking on trees, sweating in my cut-ups, and got hit by a car and things like that. Those things don't really, happen. Everything happens for a reason. We come into this life to make a difference. It's a short life, but we just want to take the opportunity and move. When the opportunity knocks at our door, we need to look at it and grab it and move forward.
Are you someone who is looking to seriously elevate your life this year? I mean, now, this year, 2020, because I want to let you know that I am currently opening up a few coaching spots for people like you who want to close the gap from where you are to where you want to be. And I want to invite you to visit coachwithtyler.com. Again, that's coachwithtyler.com. I have to tell you, this is not for everyone. This is only for those who are defiantly committed, those who are decisive, those who are coachable, those who are resourceful. They're willing to do whatever it takes. They're willing to sacrifice time, energy, and invest resources into themselves to get to where they want to be, to live life at the highest level, and to elevate to a life without limits, exactly what we talk about on this show. If that is you, I invite you to visit coachwithtyler.com. Again, that's coachwithtyler.com. So that's one thing that you and I really resonated on so quickly, was that, it's a short life, and everything, you've got to grab those opportunities. I really like that. It really kind of stands out to me. But then also that everything happens for a reason. Like when you mentioned in there, I think very kind of on the side, that you got hit by a car.
I did. Because see, I didn't have any bicycle or anything. Actually, one of the family I was selling books to, they gave me their bicycle. They said, you've been walking all these, in the sun. We used to work 80 hours a week, 80 hours. That's Monday through Saturday. And then Sunday, we would do our laundry and all and meet for the sales meetings. That's how it all operated. And but you're right, I got hit by a car. I said, what the heck, that's right. But then we were fine. And then I, lasted the whole summer. A lot of people quit. See, that's the other part in life. Is a very big lesson. Don't quit. I mean, once you make a decision that you're passionate about something, you got to figure out ways to go above the mountain, as we say, below, in a tunnel or around or everything. Every time there is a solution to the challenge. That's the biggest thing. And having that burning desire, that positivity will overcome all the big mountains that are coming, And I've been a pretty positive person all my life. I think that has really helped me to really, with enthusiasm and positivity, conquer the world.
Well, one thing that I really latched onto when it comes to challenges is that I feel like whenever a challenge happens, that there is a purpose for it. There's a seed for a greater opportunity, and it's testing your commitment. Like, do you really want it? Because if so, this is the time to prove it, right? And this is the time to develop those greater capacities, would you say?
Totally. We grow with the challenges. I mean, if we had a very easy life, we'll be sluggish, we'll be dying, we will not be growing. Be truthful, and I always also have felt in the almighty force, that we come in unison, that we are not alone. It's the energy that we give it all around us,
Mm.
just like, law of attraction, right? The secret.
Yes.
I really believe in that book, because the higher the signals you are able to give, like the radio station, and with so much commitment and passion, we send those signals out, that people will grab those and come near to you. You don't even know where they came from, but
Yes.
they will become a part of your team and your ecosystem to accomplish bigger goals. The big thing is, I also believe that the Almighty gives you tough situations
Mm.
because they know that you can handle it. They know that it's going to be a step above to growth, and that's what we should look at every time, positive things or negative things. Similarly, see, the thing is, if we get too excited when we are very happy, I always say, don't get overly excited about your accomplishments,
Mm.
and don't get utterly depressed when there are sorrows and there are failures.
Hmm.
So try to balance it. That's what life is about.
Yeah, and on that concept, I really study mindfulness,
Yes,
and
yes.
equanimity is the concept there, where it's like, hey, look, don't try to get too high, don't try to get too low, just kind of stay in that middle ground, but then also, vibrate to the higher energy, like you're saying. And some of our listeners may be saying, what are they talking about? I mean, this is crazy. Can we talk about cash on cash and IRR? I mean, I need to know, how do I maximize my returns here? But what we're talking about is, to get to that point, I mean, it goes without saying, you've got to be an expert in what you're doing. But what you're talking about here is much higher level, which is like, this is really how you raise the bar to the very, very top level. Would you say, Vinny?
Well, thank you. I've been a product of all the great mentors, and I'm sure a lot of people have heard about, and they probably follow them. Jim Rohn,
Oh, yeah.
Dale Carnegie, Napoleon Hill. I mean,
Yes.
Think and Grow Rich. Of course, W.J. Schwartz, Magic of Thinking Big. All
Mhm.
these, I actually, believe in a lot of great books. Like Eckhart Tolle, I bought this book in 2003 or 2002. I
Mm.
always sign my name and put a date when I buy it, because that just tells
Oh, that's
me
good.
what things I can take from this book. Just 3 ideas. That's what I look for. I don't look for 1,000 ideas. I just look for 3 great
Mm.
ideas and make sure that I'm applying them. Magic of Thinking book, big, by W.J. Schwartz.
Mhm.
Marvelous book, marvelous book. And I got it in June of 1978. June of
Wow.
1978.
That's
And
awesome.
it has really changed my life, because
Mhm.
I've always trained my mind to think big. Don't think small,
Mhm.
because if we think too small, then that's where we're going to set our limit. But it's how we train our brain, our mind, to not just, we hear that 10% of the brain is only used, right? But
Mhm.
the mind is so enormous. I mean, we could live our lifestyle in abundance or scarcity. And then, of course, controlling the time. Look at all these are old books. But look at this book here that I got maybe in the same 1976 or something like that. Around the Control Your Time, Control Your Life by Alan Lankins, The Greatest Salesman in the World by Og
Mhm.
Mandino, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, of course, How to Influence. Oh my gosh, this is the number one book. How to Build Relationships, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie. Oh
So
my
good.
gosh,
So good.
Stephen Covey, Customers for Life. All these big books, right? But the big thing is, it's Zig Ziglar. I should have brought Zig Ziglar, Tom Hopkins, Dwayne. A lot of great people have
Yep.
influenced a lot of us. The big thing is, it's what we think above our neck. The
Mhm.
stinking thinking, right? Zig Ziglar, I still remember that. He says, what's in between your ears is so important. And we need to feed this portion right here with so much stuff, because we feed our
Yeah.
mouths so much. We go to the best restaurant, we spend $100 or $200 or $300. But when we come to, getting a course or a book, we think twice. Should I spend $20 on this book or not? And
Right.
that's not good. I mean, we need to be spending good amount of money to really get our mind right. If the mind is right, we'll reach all the highest levels.
Well, I got to make a plug here, because if you're not watching this on YouTube, you need to switch over and take a look at this on YouTube, because man, we just got the look at all these different books, and you can tell, I mean, these are 40-plus-year-old books in some ways, and you can tell that these seeds have germinated in your life. And I wanted to also highlight the thought, and I'm taking notes here, because you got to look for 3 big ideas from each book. 3, just look for 3. Right? That's really good. Because sometimes you try to overdo it, and you overdo it to a point where you don't get anything back. So I think that's really good. That's a really good takeaway.
And actually, if I may say and confess to everybody on the public, I have not read a single book fully. Never.
Okay.
I've never read it. I always look for, 3 ideas, and I'll open it up in the middle. I'll open up over here. And if something strikes and I get it, that's it. And then I come back again and go through it. There might be 3 more new things that I find sometime again. So it's just a small trick. The thing is, you don't need to read the whole book to find out what you want. You might get some great concepts in the middle or first part, then you lose them by the end.
Right. Well, but just to your earlier point, I mean, what you think is what you become, and that really is the main concept here. It's like, you know what, you could either look at a challenge and say, wow, this is devastating, or you could say, this is the greatest opportunity for me to grow. And, or you could say, wow, I just learned how to win friends and influence people, which is maybe one of the most valuable skills in the entire world, if I can influence other people. And so it's all about your mind and feeding your mind. So I really like that. I'm curious, Vinney, were books the avenue for you to take it from, really having almost nothing to having anything you ever wanted?
I would say so. I
Really?
definitely would say so. And I've been a studious boy in India, and then here also when I did my MBA in marketing, I was a success actually by selling books and encyclopedias. I figured it out. I memorized the talk. I was able to do my action with the hands and all.
Yeah.
People couldn't understand me. They said, "Come on in," I would sell.
You had a good smile though.
I know. But then when I became full-time, I'm telling you, I was the failure. I was a big failure. I was at the bottom of the pile. Out of 18 or 19 consultants, here, Vinney's sales are at the bottom. I said, holy cow, what happened here? And then I realized I was not really sticking to the training manuals and learning, the talk and everything, and answering objections and making sure I was stopping to listen and, all those things which we learn. That's what really made me excel. About 6 months or 9 months later, I grew like 181% in my sales by just applying very small techniques. And that's when my company moved me to California to open the whole division. And I was so fortunate to be with that company. Very nice company. I started with 2 companies. By the time I left as director, senior stockholder, and everything, it was like 14 companies we made, from ground startup from 2 to 14, and even sold an insurance company for big amounts. And the stocks went like 6,700%,
Wow.
when I retired. So that was fun part. And we would, whatever money we would make, we'll put it in single family homes, right? Over the years, over 3 decades. Now, then I became a broker, California broker, near San Francisco, 2004, 15 years back. Here now, I don't know what LOI is. I don't know what cash on cash is. I didn't know nothing about nothing, literally. My friend gave me on a napkin in a restaurant. I said, what's LOI? I asked him. He says, oh, that's where you give the terms, how you're going to purchase price and the loan and everything and the due diligence. I said, oh my gosh, I don't know anything. I came home and that was my start of the education.
That's
and
great.
In last 15 years, it's been very blessed. My first apartment I bought, it took me 11 months with me and my team to get for $180,000, 14 units, 14 units in Texas, and I'm so happy to, declare that I worked with my partners, Enzo, multifamily, my good partners, and we just closed on $52 million deal.
It's amazing.
So from 180,000, I just want everybody to say, stay on there. Don't deviate. Stay in there. All these properties in the back. I bought 12 syndications. I did it in 2 years. 192 units, 160, 140, 200 something, 267, all these. The money was flowing only because we were running the operation right, transparent, making sure that the investors were getting what they wanted in our projections. We were conservative. We were not over-promising, under-delivering, but doing the reverse, And I also believe that every investor, Tyler, is not one investor. See, you got to say 10x or 20x. If you take care of one prospect and they become your client, oh my gosh, you won the world, because they will tell more people and more people and more people. So
well, and it goes back to the integrity, right? You've got to deliver for this one person, and they're going to open their world up to you because you've really over delivered on their expectations, and it's such a long-term business, right?
Sure, totally. And, making sure that we take care of clients. That's the number one thing. My retention rate used to be almost like 94%. Some of my clients worked with me for 30 years,
Wow.
30 years in motivation speaking and raising money for them and all. And I would only meet them once a year. But because my pictures were all over on the business card, on my digital, I have had smile like Vinney Smile Chopra, because people just took my middle name out and put smile. I used to smile.
Yeah.
Now if I don't smile, my cheeks hurt, actually.
That's awesome. Well, I can't help but being around you and smile. It just makes me happy. And somebody was telling me this not too long ago on the show. Actually, it was Danny Randazzo, who's actually from San Francisco. He said, one of the ways that he elevates other people is he just smiles at them. And I can definitely say that that's what you do. And it's so simple, but what we're talking about can be complex. But it's interesting how you mentioned it's like 2004, I was like, what is an LOI? To now I just did a $52 million deal or whatever it was. And it's like, oh my gosh. So tell me about that. So if we want to fast forward to today, I mean, obviously you're doing big things still, and you're still excited. You're still growing. You're helping other people. You're still speaking to other people and motivating them and inspiring them, but also doing these deals. I mean, tell me about how are you raising the bar currently in your business, Vinney?
I would love to. Tyler, the biggest thing is, I'm trying to see what is out there, right? There is 26 to 28 trillion with a T, $1 trillion of retirement funds. So my new passion is to really excite the baby boomers and everybody. I'm 67 today, this year. And I'm already seeing that, how I can bring great returns for the great lifestyle of the baby boomers. So senior living is catching my more attention in the Floridas and Arizonas. And I also have an academy that I want to impart my knowledge, what I've done for the last, almost 15 years. I have designed some very great techniques and underwriting and my proposals and other stuff. So I teach those also. And the youth, I really want to make a big difference in the youth of America, right from the 14 years, 17 years of age, so that they can learn about entrepreneurship, about real estate, because that's not taught in the high schools or the colleges. So my passion is to kind of take my message to the masses, millions of people, through apps, maybe design an app or design another way to reach the masses, to share with them how exciting it is, the world of real estate, and maybe have them, stay in the duplex or triplex when they're at the age of 21 or 22. With the savings that they have, they can buy that and live for free. Yes. And then rent out the other positions. So, and charities are really exciting me right now to give back to the handicapped and orphans and things like that. I mean, we are goal setting. We are right at about 350 million or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Our goal next year is to get another 200 million next
Wow.
year. 200, So it's all in the scheme of things, because we have made the system, right? We have our own accounting department. We are vertically aligned. Just want to let you know. In other words, I've had 2 acquisition companies, 2 management companies. That way we are always managing our assets. So I've done 27 syndications. My 28th right now, we are doing it. We're going to close on December the 10th. It's a $35 million deal. So we just did 52 end of June, and this will be like December 10th. We'll do 50 million. We just put 2 more LOIs with grace of God. We got some really good ones, 74 million for the 2 new ones. That's going to be exciting.
That's so exciting. What really strikes me is that, you're talking earlier about, when you access one investor, you're really accessing 10 to 20 people.
Exactly.
And the way that I tie that thought process into what you're doing is like, you're doing 10 times and 20 times more than the average real estate investor, even the average real estate syndicator. I mean, you were talking about big things in addition to obviously giving back and thinking about how can you serve, several very different demographics, whether it's baby boomers or, teenagers or whatever it may be, in so many different capacities. And I just wanted to honor you with that. But I'm curious, with all of that said, obviously you've got to be focused, you've got to have systems, you got to be vertically integrated, as you mentioned there, and kind of plugging and playing. But how do you also, how do you decline certain opportunities that may not fit along those paths? And what does that process look like for you, Vinney?
I'm so glad you said that. I'm very straightforward. I'm the most humblest guy, but at the same token, I don't like to waste anybody's time
Yeah.
and energy and mine. Consequently,
Right.
the biggest thing is, a lot of people say, Vinny, would you be interested if I bring a deal in Arizona, or I bring in Seattle, or bring it in, like that? I say, at this moment, I'm so focused in one particular area, which is Florida. It's like Orlando, Tampa, Jacksonville, Melbourne, in that corridor, because I'm building my company, management company there, right? So everywhere I went, I always had several assets with the economies of scale, with preferred vendors, because we have our accounting department, our HR, our payroll department. At the peak, I had 100 people working for me, with me
Wow.
as
Yeah.
team members. We are at about 60 some right now, full time, which are on our payroll and everything. And that's the exciting part. So we have built the mousetrap, and we can, just kind of do it, wherever we go, we can institute that. So that has been really motivating for me. The big thing is, if we have the broker relationships and they feel that they can close the deal, right? The last 52 million one, I raised, I think 7 million in 7 hours, $7 million in 7 hours. With this deal, that 35 million, I raised, like, I'm oversubscribed by 1.9 million right now this morning. I only needed so little that, but you're right, investors, I started from zero. Tyler, I really did, from zero. I have 148 investors, but they have always said like, when the track record, when you get that returns, they tell more people and more people and more people. I've only met face to face 28 of my investors, just
Wow.
28. Rest are all through Zoom and GoToMeeting or Skype or FaceTime, things like that. So they have opened their wallets from 100 to 200 to 500 now. One family even put 700 in my Bentley deal over there in Orlando. And now they're putting 700, they already put. Well, after 2 months, they're putting 500 again. I just found an investor with a friend of mine who's going to give me $4 million every year for so many years now, because they've been paying 57% income tax. It's 57%. They said, Vinny, if you could take that and give us the cost segregation, the accelerated depreciation and everything, and he's going to be totally immersed in the real estate, 750 hours and more, everything, then it's going to be amazing, So all those things, by keeping in perspective that, we got to be always working on the spinning in my book, right?
Mhm.
I may put a little plug on my book.
You have to. You have to.
This book, I just wrote it for myself, really. And
Mm.
I couldn't believe it. I thought I'll sell 2 copies. Oh my gosh, I got 106 5-star reviews. No, one person doesn't like it. That's okay. But 105 reviews. So that's exciting for me to see that people can, really see the light at the end of the tunnel. I think the only way to scale up is through commercial.
Mhm.
Even the wholesaling or flipping, it's a one-time job,
Right.
notes buying and all that. I just caught that vision in 2004 and 5 and 6, and I have just stayed the course 14 years. And now, my goal is to get to billion.
That's amazing. Well, and for our non-YouTube watchers here, our audience there on YouTube, if you're listening to the podcast, I want to make the plug there for Vinney's book. He just showed it there on the screen. Apartment Syndication Made Easy. You definitely have to check that out. And you're so humble with that because it's become an extremely popular book across
Thank
across everywhere. But that's why I asked the question. It's like, someone who achieves so much and who's got these massive goals and who's doing it in a fun way. It's like you don't have to just do it so like, oh, you're all mad the whole time, But that's why I asked the question. It's like, how do you say no? And really the answer is like, you know what? We've got our focus here because we're building our vertical integration here, and we're
Yes,
not really interested in these other ways. So I think that's a great thought process that you can really
yeah,
apply so
to-
many different places, whether it's your business or your life. So
totally, so true. I have really always believed that, you want to be totally upfront. You have to respect everybody around you
yeah,
and their time and their energy and everything. And you want to push them forward. You want to give
right.
them everything you got so that they are very successful. And that's what my goal is now. My students to really surpass me. That's the name of the game. Because if I can teach everything to even one person, and they surpass, that's going to be the happiest life. The
That's
biggest
awesome.
thing is happiness is today. Happiness is not a destination, it's a journey. And when I was W2 job, I used to get up at 6:30, 7 o'clock. When I retired, totally retired, I don't need to know to do anything. Then I'm getting up at 4:30 in the morning. And I'm
Yeah.
so excited to do the miracle morning, the exercise and chanting and yoga
Hmm.
and everything, and making sure that I'm just ready to take on the world and paying that gratitude. That's the other book I would like all of our audience to kind of look at. I don't get paid anything. Hal Elrod, I met him,
Yeah.
and just a great guy. He just wrote another book, Miracle Equation. That's his
Yep.
new one. Amazing book,
Hmm.
because if we align ourselves daily in the morning, I mean, we can accomplish and conquer the world.
Absolutely. And so this is such a great segue because I want to know more about your habits. I mean, what are some habits that are you mentioned so many different ones right there and so many very profound habits, I would imagine, for you. I'm curious to know, what's one or two that have really kind of set yourself apart?
I would definitely say, I have big board here, prioritize and delegate. That
Mm,
has lived with me. I always believe in Stephen Covey's book when I read about the quadrant, the urgent and non-urgent, and also important and non-important. So it's good to spend time with not urgent but important segment number 4. And that's where we can spend time. Thinking time is the best time anybody could take. Preparation time, thinking time, prospect time, making sure everybody, which brings Pareto principle, right? 80-20. If
yep.
you can spend majority of the time in high paying activities, even 20% of the day, if we spend that, we get 80% result. Hooray. We won the case right there.
Right.
So that's what it is. I always believe I compartmentalize, just like in the drawer here, right? I can go from meeting to meeting to meeting to meeting and totally immerse myself
Hmm.
in that moment and get there and make sure I can contribute to that meeting, and then I close it and then I go to the next one. So, and then, physically, health wise, eating right, all those things are important. And I'd like to, as at 67, I want to be like this for next 20 years, have the vision board of lot more things and leaving a legacy, things like that, so that motivates you.
Man, there's so much good stuff there. And I think one thing that's really just a takeaway for me at times is like, we move so quickly and you've got to be present, right?
Yeah.
Immerse yourself in the meeting, immerse yourself in what you're doing.
Yeah.
We talk about this a lot actually, but a book that's come up so many different times is The One Thing by
Yes,
Gary
yes.
Keller. And, it is about the one thing, like, what am I doing now?
Yes.
WIN. How do you win is what am I
Yeah.
doing now? Am I having
Yeah.
a conversation with Vinney? I got to be present with you because my goodness, what a great opportunity, And if I'm listening to this podcast, I've got to be taking notes. What can I take action on? What's 3 things that Vinney's already talked about that's like, whoa, big mind, mind-blowing things. So I really, really like that. And I also like the thought of, vision boards and envisioning what you want in your life, because that's kind of what we started with, is that you saw an opportunity here in this country,
Yes.
to do something great. And then you continue to follow along that path. So I'm curious, a lot of the theme of what we've talked about so far has really been investing in yourself, investing in your mind.
For sure.
What else are you investing in? I mean, what would you say would be the most worthwhile investment that you've made in yourself, maybe in the past few years?
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I would say definitely I do massage, very
Okay.
nice deep tissue massages every
Yep.
week. We like to travel a lot. Some
Mhm.
months, some years we have traveled 6 times a year, all abroad and everywhere. We are just living now for a union in Cancun. We just got back from Japan this year, South Korea. We are planning for the South America trip, 17 days in February. So those kind of things are very important because it's not just making money, it's to
Yes.
enjoy life.
Yep.
And then, making sure concerts and things and
Mhm.
gift giving, all that, good stuff. The other good part is that I'm so vigilant. I just starting 2 startup companies here in the Silicon Valley because I live in the Silicon Valley.
Wow.
And one of the big concept I would love to, if you don't mind,
Please.
share about oxygen. That's a brand new startup company, as Open Door has become to the single family, Tyler, where people can call and they say, would you like to buy my home for 10-day closing or 15-day closing, and you get cash for it. We are trying to do the same thing for multifamily. So
Wow.
we want to be the open door for multifamily. We have already been working on it for a year and 4 months now, and we have it already out there, oxygen.vip. So oxygen.vip, www, where if you want to buy, it's a frictionless way to buy multifamily from the seller, because we find it's a big boys network kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's antiquated because if the seller sells it to the Cushman, and Field or Marks and Millichap or CBRE, they're not even advertising on LoopNet or on CoStar. They are doing it on their own website, monopolizing it, and only giving it to the handpicked like Vinney and others, right?
Right.
But other people are missing out. So we are trying to build this program where we could buy the multifamily in 15-day closing, 15-day
Wow.
closing, cash given, and then we'll be totally transparent with the phase 1 report, with survey, with everything done for the buyer, 1031 buyers or syndicators or investors, and give them on a silver platter with the PPM, private placement, and everything. So
Right.
that's the one which I'm very passionate about, oxygen. The other one, which I got hacked last year on the cloud security. So my friend who actually took a business to NASDAQ and sold it for 100 million, I have joined hands with him. That's my other one on cloud defense, is the other startup that I'm very excited about.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, it's just an innovative. I mean, one of the themes that I'm seeing here is it's a lot of the things that you're talking about are not it's not like you're recreating wheels in so many different ways. You're taking a thought process and applying it to something that hasn't been done yet, which is a lot of what, entrepreneurism is. And I love that thought because it does spark, there's always something new to create. There's always a new opportunity.
Yep.
And you know what? Also, if you fail, it's not like the end of the world. You still try.
That's right.
But
Exactly.
I'm curious to know, like, what if we were to speak about failures, is there anything that sticks out to you that's really been something that's like,
Lots of
wow, I
failure.
can't believe this happened at the
Oh
time, but
my
it
gosh,
stood out to be
totally.
something
Oh,
awesome?
oh my gosh, totally. Let me kind of share with you. Do we have many hours? No.
Yeah.
See, the thing is, one thing I definitely want to say to the audience that I hardly remember negatives in my life. My wife tells me, actually, I wrote this book, apartment syndication dot whatever,
Yeah.
made easy. My wife loved it and everything. She says, but you know what? Actually, it's a limited audience book. I said, what do you mean? She says, I've been married with you for 39 years, but you have been the most positive guy. I would like you to write a book on positivity. Guess what? Next morning, I got up and I said, let me start dictating my book. And it's coming out now. It's called Positivity Brings Profitability. So my whole life has been to really look at everything. Sometimes people say, Vinny, you don't look at realistic things. But I tell them with my energy, the realistic things also changed for the better because of the positive energy. But the big thing is, there have been many failures, Tyler. I could go back to my life when I was growing up. We didn't have television, we didn't have a car, we didn't have a motorbike, we didn't have refrigerator, we didn't have television, we didn't have anything. And I used to get paid like maybe $2 per month as my allowance, and I used to drink Coke, literally can of Coke a month would be and a pound cake, small piece of pound cake. I was looking forward to that every month, when I was growing up. But the thing is, when you have abundance, but you have the humble beginning, you really keep those things in check, and that's a huge part of life, is to make sure that you're gratifying, you're giving, to the people around. But failures have been so many in the purchases also. I have closed almost every LOI, but I won't be saying I'll be wrong if saying I made all the right decisions, because we have done, properties where we didn't do good due diligence. That came to haunt us,
Yep.
things happen. But you look at, okay, this contract, that contractor, right? You say, okay, this will probably do a good job, right? You give the contract to them, but if they don't come through, then it's a failure, right? Your failure as a leader, and it's there, then you take them to court and other stuff and all that. I'm pretty strict in all that. I can give everything, but if somebody does not do right, I can be tough also. I can be very, very tough, for them also. But a lot of failures have come in my life, personal failures. We've been married very nicely. Our kids, Neil and Monica, done very well, went to Berkeley, went to UCLA, all that. They are very healthy, happy. So all that, yeah.
Well, what you said there is like, you don't always remember the negatives. They don't stand out to you. It's like, oh, I can't believe I failed on that. And that's
Yeah.
really kind of the big takeaway, is that even though, as you mentioned, you've had, 40, 50, 60 plus years of failures at times and things
Totally.
that have been really kind of heartaches and challenges, you
Totally.
don't have to, keep you from smiling,
No,
or
no,
keep you from going towards the next opportunity now. Just because you failed on due diligence at one time doesn't mean that you can't go after that $52 million deal now and do a great
so
job in due
true,
diligence.
so true, Tyler. This was in the sewer lines. We bought this property in San Antonio, and then we just didn't run the cameras through, right? I
Yeah.
learned from that point right away. Now we take corrective action, and then we start doing those things so that we don't do those same failures again. Insanity is to keep on doing the same thing, over and over again. So that's true. The other part I also believe is that 30 seconds back, what happened, I cannot change it right now.
Yeah.
And I cannot do anything about it. Learn from what happened. But the longer I dwell on it, if I lost a sale or a customer or anything, I just always told myself, you know what? It was not meant to be.
Yeah.
It was meant to be what happened. Or when things are happening with me today, any kind of situation comes, I say, God has given me that. Let me take a breather,
Yeah.
and then you look at it, or you sleep overnight. Many times those challenges go away. They never
Mhm.
were challenges to start with, or you figure out a different way to handle it. The biggest thing is we just need to train our mind, no matter what comes at you, unless it's taxes, paying taxes, or death.
Right, right. Well, one thing that really sticks out to me on this is like I read the book Meditations by Marcus Aurelius a few years ago, and
Yeah,
I love it because it was so wise. It was talking 2000 years ago, the Roman emperor was talking about things that we really have still challenges with today, but he
yeah,
said, "Look, it's not the challenges that are happening to you in your life, it's how you see them." And I'm sure he said it much more eloquently than that, but it's how do you see the challenges? How do you see your circumstances? Do you see it as, okay, you know what, it wasn't meant to be and now let's move on? And or do you see it as, wow, woe is me? So some people may say, well, positive thinking, it's woo woo and all this,
yes,
but
yes.
look, I do think it's an abundance mindset because there's always something to learn or there's something to grow from. And so you know what, Vinny, this is so much fun, and I want to transition into our rapid fire section,
Sure,
and we call
sure.
that the rare air questionnaire. And the
Yes,
reason why we call it that is because obviously we're climbing Mount Everest here, and you know
yeah.
what? We've got a smile on our face, and most people gave up, but we didn't. The oxygen is low here, but we're going to continue to push through and raise the bar and
Yep.
do great things. So Vinny, we started this conversation with you showing me 15 different books, which was amazing. I'm curious to know, what is the number one most impactful book that you've ever read?
I would say Eckhart Tolle's. I don't know if I showed that or not. This book has really, really transformed me. The Power of Now, and we
Mm-hmm.
did talk about it. What we are doing today, right now, this moment is so important to control the time and control your life, like we say. But
Mm-hmm.
this is amazing book. Eckhart Tolle has made a big impact, on me. I know there is a big book coming up right now, which I'm reading, The Big Shift. I think
Yep.
as leaders, we need to really be looking into cutting edge. What is going to happen? Demographical changes and the artificial intelligence, and what's going to happen with the Ubers and the driverless cars, and how the millennials are liking portability,
Yep.
how these young, baby boomers, that 72 million, are retiring, and where they're going to focus and all that. So those things are
I
important.
love it. And I have to remind everybody, I got to remind myself, it's like write your name and the date in the front of
Yeah,
the book. That's
please.
awesome. I'm going to start doing that. And what's the top three things that you learn from these books and apply them immediately?
Yes.
And we'll definitely put all of this in the show notes. So
Thank
we'll link to all these books, of course. So what's I know we've talked so many things in ways that you do this already, but I'm curious to know, if I asked you this question, what would be your gut answer? What is the biggest way that you elevate your life on a daily basis?
I'm so glad. I think maybe the elevation comes when you stretch yourself, when you
Mm,
say that I'm going to do this and this and this and this. Remember, I never said or. I never said
mm,
I'm going to only do this today or this or this or this. Our life is such that we have to give the best role that we are given, best things that we are able to contribute, and different roles of our life. And that's how I look at it. I feel like mind is can be stretched, and we can do accomplish so much more than what we think we can. And it's better to just stretch it and then stretch it more and then stretch it more. That's the way
that's
to
so
grow.
fun. And that's when you get real purpose in your life, when you become something greater, and that's what I love so much about that message is, the first, I guess, carrot that is held in front of you is, riches and wealth and all these things. But the greatest thing that happens is who you become when you stretch yourself. You start to feel so proud and so
Yes.
satisfied with your life. And you continue to seek more of that. So I think that's a great, great message. What's the best way, or how do you, would you say, elevate others around you?
I think give the best in, I think listen to people. I think many times we just are already having our own agenda, when we meet with people and we don't give them the chance to speak their mind, and we don't
Mm.
ask pointed questions,
Yeah.
because the only way to contribute and uplift the people is to see what's going in their mind. And if it's good or bad or ugly or whatever, kind of soothe it over. Because many times managers and leaders like to think that, okay, I've got my agenda, let me give it to that whoever is I'm meeting with, right? It could be prospect, could be anybody, team player. But the thing is, you got to see where they're coming from, and then you add value, so that when they leave you, you may made a big impact on their life.
That's so good. That is so good. And it's funny because I'm sitting here, I'm holding this pen, and I think about the question that people ask in an interview. It's, sell me this pen, right? And some people would say, well, hey, it's a great pen. It's got all these different features. It's got the ballpoint. It does this, this, and this. It's black ink. But really, the real answer, I guess you would say, is, all right, well, what kind of pen do you like, Vinny? What type of needs do you have?
You ask questions.
And
That's
then
right.
you listen. Maybe they don't even need a pen. Maybe they need a computer. I mean, but to your point, it is about listening. And I think that's such a great message, a great reminder for all of us as we move fast. And as you mentioned before, you're stretching yourself. You're not saying, or you're saying, I'm doing this and this and this and this, but also in the midst of that, I'm stretching myself, but I'm also focusing on someone else. I'm listening. I'm caring what they're saying. I'm truthfully, intuitively listening. I'm not just, hearing the words, but I'm, encompassing them and asking pointed questions. So that's such a great, great reminder.
I appreciate that. Also, when you say that I'm going to do this and this and this and that also puts us in a position to delegate more, to
Sure.
really have the vision, set it up correctly, prioritize, and then take care of the A's and B's, but then hire virtual assistants and team members and everything. There is so much out there. I know a lot of people can do much better job in a lot of activities that I don't need to immerse myself into. So that is a tremendous opportunity for us to, there are like 200 million, no, maybe not. Is it? No, maybe 200,000 freelancers, right?
Wow. Yeah.
To Upwork or Fiverr and other places. And it's great to utilize their skills rather than just putting ourselves on the edge and not finding time and things like that.
That's so good. So Vinny, any parting thoughts or words of wisdom that you would leave Elevate Nation with tonight?
I would say definitely take massive action. Be positive, smile, because people love, oh my gosh, I forgot. Always give 3 to 4 business cards. Oh my gosh, that's the truth. Because you never give one business card to a person. Never, ever, ever. Because you always give 2, 3, or 4 cards. Because if you make an impact with them, they will never give your card away. They want to share your story. They want to talk about you. If you give them 2 or 3 extra cards, they're going to pass them along to other great family, friends, and oh my gosh, and put a picture on your card. Never have a card without your picture. Your whole Facebook, nowadays everything, Twitter, this account, that account, because people like to Google you right away. So contribute. Just, start writing what you are trying to do in your field. Start recording and writing and putting out there in the universe, because that's where people will really become your followers, and they'll feel good about that, you're out there.
Well, we're all certainly becoming your fans and your followers for sure. And Vinny, it has been an absolute pleasure to be with you tonight, and I really appreciate you taking the time.
Oh my gosh, it's so much pleasure, Tyler. And if anybody would like to hear or meet me, my website is vinneychopra.com. That's Vinney, Chopra.com. And of course on Amazon, or just Google Vinney Chopra. You'll come across a lot of my videos and different things. And you can partner, with me, a general partner also. You can do it that way, or passively invest in our deals, and also become, mentee. I also coach personally, students and so forth like that.
Well, what a great opportunity to take massive action now, right?
Yes,
As you just
that's the
mentioned,
thing. Yeah,
it's like one of the things is like, man, we have so much wisdom here. We've got to listen to the show again. We've got to take repetition, take notes. What are the top 3 things we talked about today, and how can we take massive action immediately? And also beyond that, it's like we have a unique time in this life to share
yes.
this with so many people. Share
So,
this with one person, but you can do it so easily, and you
so
can embark upon them the wisdom, and you can learn it greater yourself. So that's one of the things I really love about this. And man, I tell you what, it has been so much fun, and I really look forward to such a long-term relationship together, Vinny.
thank you, Tyler. God bless you, and congratulations on such a great podcast and the message you're bringing to millions of people. And I know you mentioned it in the start of the broadcast that you want to reach millions of people, and I think that's the way to do it. Digitally, it's very possible, and I wish you all the success in the world.
Oh, well, thank you so much. And you know what? We're going to have you back on at some point here. So let's continue the conversation. And until next time, Vinny, thanks
Sure.
again. And Elevate Nation, thank you so much for being here. And look forward to next time. And have a great day.
Thank you for listening to Elevate. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and pay it forward by sharing with a friend. Most importantly, take this opportunity to elevate your results by taking immediate action on what you learned. For more, visit tylerchesser.com.